I'm asking about the attitude of the Nigerian to these good times that Mr. President is setting up. But these good times do not come without a cost. How optimistic are you that Nigerians are fully in understanding on all of these aspects?
Well, the truth of the matter, you have properly established the framework, you know. I subscribe to that analysis, as it were. Well, I don't think it's a hopeless situation, you know.
Okay.
One, we must first commend Mr. President for the determination to reform, and because he has one or two options. Being a politician, he could take the easy, popular route, where we do business as usual, and continue the culture as we have had, you know, over the past so many years, and for every of his policy, you know, it will be hailed and it will be popular. But again, the truth of the matter is, over the years, we have been digging ourselves into a hole. And for every passing administration, we go deeper into that hole. So for a politician, especially a popular one, to take the route of hard-nosed but constructive reformation should be commended. Because we have seen 1, 2, 3, especially his decision on fuel subsidy, for instance, removal of fuel subsidy, harmonization of the foreign exchange windows, the policy trust of the Band A, now popular called Band A, you know, that's a differentiation, pricing differentiation for electric usage, and a number of others are talking to how we are supposed to pay appropriately for services rendered, and that is good. Over time, we'll wean ourselves out of that seeming paradise-like welfare state. A welfare state, the way we are saying it, is where the government, you know, is responsible for everything. But I think it's wrong. There's no welfare state anywhere any longer. Even back in those days, when you still have the dominance of the Soviet system, the Marxist system, where perhaps wrongly there was that outlook or that belief that the government is responsible for everything. No, the government is responsible for critical aspects, you know, of development, and Nigeria is still driving that, you know, within the context of the reform of Mr. President. For instance, a professor of veterinary study came out about 2 or 3 days ago to tell us that to train a veterinary doctor for a period of 4 years, you need to spend 45 million naira. 45 million naira. That's the standard template payment. But in Nigeria university, especially federal government-owned university, the average, you know, that you spend through those 4 years will be less than 4 million, more or less, you know, for tuition and others. So now what that tells us is that education is seriously, overwhelmingly subsidized in Nigeria. And that is a pass mark for us. We have not always considered that. And the money to subsidize education must come from somewhere. You know, perhaps if we start understanding the fact that education being subsidized is actually a cost to government. And because it is a cost to government, there should be a consideration for how citizens will be responsible for payment of services in other side. You know, as poor as our health services are, it's still accessing health services is still the cheapest possible, you know, health platform anywhere in Africa. You know, especially in government-owned general hospitals, federal government-owned general hospitals, federal government tertiary hospitals, like teaching hospitals. You know, and these are areas or segments of development. These are development catalysts that we need to concentrate on in terms of funding. So it should not be about consumables, you know, like fuel, for instance, that we have made a traditional, long-standing, must be free item. So I think we need to educate or continue to enlighten Nigerians about the trade-off that we need to make going forward. The trade-off of paying for certain services, and of course the trade-off of enjoying the benefits of certain services. And that if we're, yes, we've experienced train service on the standard gauge over a period of time between Kaduna and Abuja, between Ibadan and Lagos. And those who had enjoyed the benefits of these services know that it is what they are paying for is worthy of it. The value is worthy of it. And I believe that when government is also able to provide this kind of service in an efficient manner, Nigerians will be appreciative of it, and of course will be willing to pay for it.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. The other thing, of course, is that, concentrating for the moment on, the corollary of all of these explorations that the president is making, which is that it's not charity, it's going to have to be paid for, but at least we're being provided with a template, with an opportunity to advance if we're willing to become disciplined on it. There's this whole matter about what is it that Nigeria is actually bringing to the table. Okay, we hear about, unfortunately, crude oil is our principal asset. That's a sovereign asset. But we don't add value to it. If we still have cocoa, I'm not too sure what the figures are there, we don't add value to it the way Ivory Coast is reported to be attempting to do in its own case. It has a lot of cocoa, and it is saying that, you know what, we can't be exporting this thing crude anymore for you to now be sending it right back to us, with up to 10 times the price. There's that aspect of the equation too. How do we get into the habit of also being able to export more than crude value, to be adding some level of finishing so that we can begin to have something at all. We have to have something, and that has been a problem for a long time. There was a time when it was said, General Yakubu Gowon, back in the day, that Nigeria's problem is not money, it's how to spend it. Well, those days are very, very long gone. Way long gone. Now we have to be thinking of what is it that we can be doing to be adding value. And here I'm a bit concerned. Maybe this gives you the opportunity to comment on the scenario that we all as Nigerians witnessed. We're talking about our own, privately owned refinery. Privately owned, put that in quotes because, government will take a stake in it and all of that. It hasn't been going very, very smoothly. If you listen to the conversation out there, it would appear that there are those who are against any such moves. Now, I'm saying all of this just from the point of view of we're going to